Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Lisa with the Quiltmaker Homestead, and today I have a really awesome treat for you. Okay, my great-grandmother was Pearl Inslee, and if a woman could ever cook, it was my Gran. She could bake, she could do all the things in the kitchen, and you've never had something that tasted so good as when Gran made it. Now, if you were lucky, now there was family at my Gran's house all the time. You stopped by on a Tuesday after work, there'd be family there. You stopped by on a Friday after work, there'd be family there. The family really got together on Saturday mornings. Almost everyone was there, almost every Saturday for coffee. I miss those days so much. I really do. But if you were lucky enough and you stopped by Gran's house, and she happened to be pulling one of these baked custards out of the oven, you would have thought you won the lottery. It was that good. Now, today I'm sharing her recipe, but just let me tell you, my Gran was a little stingy with her recipes, okay? It didn't matter what she was making. She wanted you to learn how to make it, but she didn't tell you exactly all the information, right? Um, if she was measuring vanilla, she just eyeballed it. She knew exactly by the looks how much vanilla would go in. If it needed flour, she would measure it in her hand, and it was the perfect measurement every time. How much does her hand hold? I have no idea. But over the years, my family, my aunties, my Nana, my mom, her sisters, my cousins, we have spent enough time in our lifetime with Gran to figure out her recipe, and I'm sharing that with you today. It was almost like Gran wanted you to make her stuff, but she always wanted hers to be a little bit better. So when you made it at home, you'd be like, this is good, but it's not like Gran's. Do you have a grandma like that, or maybe an auntie or an uncle, somebody in your family who shares but doesn't share everything? That was my Gran. But today we've perfected it and I'm sharing it with you. So if you like chocolate, you like custard, I hope you give this a try. There is a printable recipe down in the description box with a picture of my Gran and Pop Pop on the recipe so you can see her when you make this. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make her chocolate baked custard. Okay, before we even get started, we're going to set our oven to 350 and get that warming up. We're going to take our baking dish and we're just going to grease it up, right? You could use a cooking spray if you want. I'm just going to use some butter and I'm just going to put some of this all inside the pan real light, okay? Just real light. Going to help the custard come out. Now let's talk about the size of the pan for a second. If you like a thicker custard that is softer, use a smaller pan, like a 9 by 9, right? If you like it a little bit thinner, you can use like a 9 by 12. I'm using this little casserole pan, and it is smaller than 9 by 12, but I'm not sure exactly how much smaller. It doesn't say on the bottom. It's a little bit smaller than 9 by 12. So my custard might look different than yours. Mine might be thicker because my pan is more shallow, right? So go ahead and grease that up and get your oven preheating. The next thing we're going to do is make a little chocolate paste. So I just have a tiny little cup, right? I have some Hershey's cocoa powder. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder to this cup. That's 1, 2. Let me clean my spoon off. Because the next thing we're going to do is add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Whoops, there we go. 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Now, in my Gran's original recipe, it just said add water. They were like, how much water, Gran? You didn't tell us how much water. And we're going to stir this up. It's like that, see? And it's going to make this chocolatey paste. It's going to be a little bit on the thicker side. That's fine. That's what we're going for. And I like using just a little tiny spatula so I can scrape the sides. We just want to stir this up really well and make a little chocolatey paste. All right, it's going to be like that, right? It's going to almost be like a cake batter thickness. Now we're just going to let that sit, okay? We're going to let that sit and we're going to mix together the other stuff in a large mixing bowl. And you could use your stand mixer or just a hand mixer like I'm going to use today. Now we're going to start mixing together all of the other ingredients, right? So I have 2 eggs. I like to add those to the bowl first just to make sure I don't have any eggshells in there. Let me get a rag for my fingers. Okay, and then we're going to add our sugar and our flour. All the measurements are listed on the printout down in the description box. We're going to add our salt. Today I'm using Celtic sea salt. Sea salt and chocolate. Doesn't that sound delicious? We're going to add our vanilla. We're going to add our butter. The butter really needs to be room temperature. And let me just say, as you start to mix this up, it's not going to look the most appetizing. Can I just tell you that? You're like, ew, Lisa, this looks disgusting. Trust the process. It's going to be delicious. The first time I made it, my mom warned me. She's like, it's not going to look good. The butter, when you blend it up, is going to form little butter bits floating on the top. Keep going. I was like, okay. We're just going to mix this up on just on a low speed and get it started to mix up. All right, so we have it looking like this, and now we're going to add our milks, okay? So I have regular milk. It's just a cup of that. And then I'm using evaporated milk. Just make sure you're using evaporated milk and not sweetened condensed milk, right? Evaporated milk. There's a cup of this. All right, and now we mix again. I like to scrape the sides of the bowl. All right, so this is what we look like at this point. It's There's little tiny little pellets of butter floating around. And we're going to bring in our chocolate paste that we made just a few minutes ago. And we're adding all of it into this custard. I'm going to talk about a dessert that goes so well at family get-togethers. It's this. I'm just trying to get all that chocolate scraped out of there. I'm even going to do this and get as much of that in there as I can. All right, now let me pause you for a minute and get my bread out of the oven. All right, we're back. Just take a look at that bread. Doesn't that look so good? All right, we're going to mix up this chocolate custard one last time. Okay. I feel like I need to keep reminding you. At this stage, you're going to be like, Lisa, what the heck is that? What are all those floaty bits? It's butter. And it serves a purpose in this recipe because what's going to happen is the butter is going to float on top, right? And it's going to form all these crusty bits, like a savory, crusty, chocolatey bit on the top of our custard, right? And so while it doesn't look so great now, it's going to taste delicious. I'm so glad my mom warned me about that the first time I made it, because I would have been like, I have done something wrong. This is not what it's supposed to look like. But she pre-warned me. And I kept on going. And it was just delicious. It was so good that I say we argued. We didn't argue, but everyone wanted the bigger piece when we had it for dessert the other night. So that is what she looks like, right? Do you see that? She's liquidy. You might see little bits of butter floating on top. It's all good. Now, I cook mine for 30 minutes in this size bowl, right? Or this size casserole dish. If you're using a bigger one and your batter is thinner, you might not have to cook it for 30 minutes. But what we're going for is puffy edges, right? That if you stick a spatula down on the side, it separates from the dish. But the middle is going to still be a little jiggly when hot, okay? That sets up as it cools down. But that's what we're going for. So I'm going to do mine for 30 minutes in the oven at 350. I thought I was recording and I evidently was not, but I wanted to show you what it looks like on the inside of this custard. So it's still slightly warm on the bottom. So this is my favorite time to eat it, actually. There's a little raised crust all the way around that has little crispy edges, right? But the whole thing is soft yet firm. So you can see what the inside looks like. It's a custard. And here is Harlan's first piece for the evening. See that? You can push on it, but it's still firm. Chocolatey custard with a crispy edge. So let's get Harlan's reaction when he has a bite.
Try this out.
He's had it before.
Wow, that is so good. That is delicious. That's even better than last time.
It looks better than last time.
I tell you what, your Gran would be I'm proud.
Yes, you would.
And this is amazing. I don't, you didn't want any of the rest of that, did you?
This is usually how it goes. We end up bantering back and forth who gets the last piece. Sometimes he wins, sometimes I win. More times than not, though, Mom wins and she gets the last piece.
True story.
Yeah, true. Well, thank y'all so much for coming into our house and joining me here in the kitchen. I hope you give Gran's baked chocolate custard a try. And let me know what you think down in the comment section. And enjoy this as much as we do. We'll see y'all really soon. Bye, everybody.